Summer has faded to fall at Wrigley Field, but the fans are still pouring in. No small feat for a team that's earned the nickname the Lovable Losers over the last century. Presiding over the biggest overhaul in team history is Chairman Tom Ricketts. He had a plan to turn the Cubs around when his family purchased the team in 2009, and that plan is working.
The hardest thing that any owner has to do is to really acknowledge where you are kind of in the cycle. And there are times where you should be putting money into current resources to try to win your division or to try to get to the playoffs. And there are times where it's better to look at the future.
Thank you.
Excellent.
In his business school application, Ricketts listed owning the Cubs as his dream job. Back then, he was just another bleacher bum, and he still goes out to the bleachers almost every game to meet with fans.
If you're at Wrigley Field and you're just kind of up in your box, you're kind of missing it. I mean, the best thing about Wrigley Field is the people and being in the crowd. So I wanted to be out in the crowd.
You also met your wife in the bleachers, so obviously Wrigley a very special space for you beyond just business-wise. So tell me about that first encounter with your wife.
The beauty of the bleachers is general admission. So you never know who you're going to sit next to. One day we were sitting next to a bunch of girls, a bunch of young women from who went to college together, and they went to college in Omaha. I grew up in Omaha, started talking, and 5 kids later, here I am. That's not the right sport.
Here he is, on top of the world, as the Cubs enjoy a breakout season after 5 miserable years of a top-to-bottom rebuild. For Ricketts, the result was worth the effort, which included battling rooftop owners and daring to alienate the Cubs faithful with major renovations to historic Wrigley Field, including a gigantic new video board.
Probably the steepest learning curve for me personally was Chicago politics and the amount of work that goes into something as simple as putting your own money into your own stadium. The most frequent concerns people had was, are these changes going to change the vibe at Wrigley? And all I could say for a couple of years was just trust me. Like, I'm a fan, I care about the park as much as you do. We're not going to do anything that jeopardizes what is so special here.
For a super rich guy, he's really normal and down to earth. That really stands out. He's been really supportive, empowering, lets us do our job, but if we ever need anything, he's there for us.
I talk to Theo almost every single day. And if there's something that's kind of brewing, we'll talk about it. But ultimately, you don't bring in good people and second guess them.
Credit Epstein with bringing in rock star manager Joe Madden in the offseason to manage perhaps the best collection of young talent the game has ever seen.
Deep to right, it is gone! Swing and a miss, and there it is. History in Los Angeles, Jake Arrieta, no-hitter.
What are you most proud of, and what's been the biggest challenge so far in your tenure as the owner?
Obviously, we're on the field, we're very proud of this season and the fact that so much of our team is homegrown and home developed.
He hits a high fly ball, right field, it's deep, back toward the wall of Sands. Cubs win! Cubs win!
107 years, admittedly a long time to go without a championship. Do you think that the Cubs, during your tenure, will win the World Series?
Well, it's 106, and yes.
A couple months ago when the Blackhawks were making the rounds with their Stanley Cup, and you said if the Cubs win it all, when the Cubs win it all, you said, you're going to do the same thing. Is that still the plan?
I think it would only be fair. I mean, they drag that Stanley Cup to every mall in Chicago. We'll have to do the same thing for when we win the World Series.